Welcome to Deep Trope, where we go deep into fantasy and romance books, one trope at a time. We're your two book besties gushing over plot, characters, Easter eggs, theories, and of course, our favorite spicy moments. I'm Rachel, Romantasy Theorist.
And I'm Kate, lover of all things dark and spicy.
And today is episode 2 of our deep dive into Furybound by Sable Sorensen, book 2 of the Wolves of Ruin series. This episode will cover chapters 19 to 39 of the book from the perspective of two people who have read the full book. So that means spoilers for both Direbound and Furybound. If you haven't traveled to Brightbane yet, pause the podcast and finish reading Furybound before joining us.
And as always, we're still a new podcast right now, so we truly appreciate every like, subscribe, and share. So go ahead, share this with a friend who needs a little spice in their life. Our goal is to make sure every romance and fantasy reader has a book bestie to gush over their favorite theories and their favorite spicy scenes. So be sure to connect with us on social media to join in all the fun. You can join us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook at Deep Trope Podcast.
Let's get into it. We pick up with all of Phylax defecting to Killian. We're in a Stark POV chapter, and he's about to go for a direwolf ride with our favorite Phylax, Noemi. So we get to see the Phylax defect happen in real time. Stark feels a twist in his brain, Noemi collapses, and when she comes to, she's in a trance, saying she needs to go join King Killian. Stark says, like fuck you are, pulls her off her direwolf, Afis, and holds her to the ground. He calls for Meryn, who, as queen, is able to command her to resist her alpha. Stark went into full protective big bro mode here. We'd love to see it. The remaining alphas meet to determine a plan. Phylax was heavily represented at the front, protecting their crops in Weissenstadt. It's time for Meryn to head to the front, where she'll need to use her Phylax powers to shield the border from the Astrionan forces. Veta, Noemi, and Stark will accompany her. I love that we are getting a completed unit here with a representative from each of the packs. Meryn is exhausted, and despite her best efforts to avoid it, falls asleep, landing directly in the Shadow Realm with Killian. And when she wakes up, who's waiting for her in the cuck chair in the corner? That's right, Stark is there and demanding to know the truth about her night terrors. I do not like this line. Quote, "And I know you don't need me to tell you that I would kill him in this world and then chase him straight into death and kill him in any others." This feels concerning to me, Kate, for book 3.
Oh, I agree. I do not like the sound of Stark offing himself just to chase Killian into the afterlife. Like, what? It sounds like a total waste of a perfectly good shadow daddy to me.
Yes, and I'm worried that, does that mean that somehow Killastair, at least Alistair, still exists?
I mean, we did theorize that that's possible, right? Because all we really see is him like go up in smoke, but I don't trust it. It didn't feel fully finished, but we'll get into that.
That's right.
At the end of the book.
We also get a very, very lovely quote from Stark. Quote, "I see you, Meryn Sturmfrost. I see who you are and who you could become. It's about the hope you give me for a better future for our country and my selfish desire to bring it to fruition. I choose to serve at your side because I want that. So tell me what you need, because it's very late at night and I'm running short on patience."
Unfortunately, she then actually told him what she needed, which is sleep, rather than telling him what she and we desperately wanted, which is a vet dick. Damn her for actually prioritizing her physical needs.
Who does that? Who does that? Especially with a shadow I mean, she doesn't know he is, but like soon to be shadow daddy. Just sitting in the cuck chair.
Why does every hotel room have a cuck chair, by the way? What is
a great question. It's a great question. I guess they know their audience. Or they know their target audience.
I guess so. Yeah.
As you said, Meryn needs to sleep. So what does Stark do? That's right. He jumps into bed with her. Kate, this is one of my favorite microtropes, platonic sleeping. It's something that Sarah J. Maas has used in several of her books as well. And as a self certified cuddlebug, I can't get enough of this trope in a slow burn situation. It just adds to the tension and yearning while building that foundation of comfort and safety within the relationship.
I mean, yeah, like that sounds really nice, but I think you lost me at platonic.
It's not really platonic. It like starts platonic, but then
Yeah.
it leads
Like,
to
oh
something
yeah,
more.
we just sleep together because it's the only way that both of us can fall asleep. We're certainly not planning on taking it any further anytime soon because that would be crazy.
I just like that it gives us a little bit of that tension and yearning. It gives us like a little hope, little spark of hope.
You call it a spark of hope. I call it teasing. Agree to disagree.
On the way to the front, they stop just before Lynn's fall to feed Selah, who is showing signs of hunger. What the fuck? Why wouldn't they have fed the baby siphon before the trip? Like, I'm not even a mom, and I know that you feed the baby early and often to attempt to avoid an unfortunately timed meltdown.
Seriously. Like, as careful and protective as they've been of Selah up to this point, why the fuck would they risk letting her get hungry? Like, she's still a baby siphon. She doesn't know how to control her hunger, especially when they're traveling with people who don't know that she's a siphon and like wouldn't know to defend themselves. Like, this is just terrible planning, and it seemed insane that like one of the most important things they're like, oh, we'll eat when we get there.
We'll eat in the car.
We've got snacks at home, guys.
And it's not like they left right away. Like, they had a full night's rest before they left.
Well, even just the fact that, like, you know, anytime that she needs to eat, Anasa or Kratos just goes and, like, gets her a little snack, you know, like, they're outside. They didn't have to wait until she was actively hungry to get her a snack.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When Meryn and Selah head to the woods while Anasa hunts, someone snags Selah, saying, "Gotcha, usurper." Oh, these poor Sternfrost women. Not again. Not again.
Why does this keep happening to me?
Suddenly, they are surrounded by about 30 men, but Stark, Noemi, and Venna rush to the rescue and, of course, take them out pretty quickly. But Selah, who we mentioned is hangry, cannot resist the delicious smell of 30 bleeding bodies and helps herself to a feast. What a way for Venna and Noemi to find out that Selah is a siphon. The shock, the betrayal. All things considered, they take it pretty well, honestly. Yes, they do decide to head into town alone without them, saying they need space. But I was personally impressed that neither of them tried to behead Selah, especially considering in a few chapters we see just how reactive Noemi can be.
Oh, absolutely. If I was Venna, though, I would be furious at Meryn for keeping this from me. Like, after everything that they've been through, everything Venna has done to help Meryn, I would be so hurt and angry that she didn't trust me with this very crucial piece of information. Not to mention the fact that Venna has been spending a bunch of time with Selah with their, like, lessons, and I just really feel like she deserved to know the potential risks of that. And just in general, Venna has given Meryn no reason not to trust her.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And I think Venna does say that to her.
Yeah.
Venna shares
Like
all
like
of
it's
that with her.
it's one thing for Noemi, like she's more of an unknown, you know, Meryn doesn't have a history with her to fully trust her. I get that, but Venna, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I think because of Venna's loss, and obviously Marin's loss too, but especially Venna's loss of her sister, she's open to being understanding to, Marin's protectiveness over Selah. So she can
Yes.
understand that perspective and she gives her of leeway, which is why I think we are able to move past this as quickly as we do.
Yes, it's very, very understanding of Vivenna.
Yes. Venna and Noemi leave Meryn and Stark to fend for themselves in the wilderness with Selah. A romantic night camping under the stars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with a depressed little sister with them. How romantic.
Details, details, Kate. As Meryn looks at Stark, covered in blood and gore, she considers how he fought that day, killing at least 20 men on his own, and she thinks it's astounding that anyone could have that much power without making some sort of corrupt bargain.
Indeed.
This was an amazing little Easter egg, and it caught my eye immediately on the first read. At that point, I was thinking that Stark somehow personally made a deal with a god, not that he inherited it.
Oh, yeah, same. I didn't consider it being like a generational curse at this point.
Stark tosses his bloody clothes in the fire, and oh my god, Stark shirtless. Oh yes. Meryn was just as shooketh as we are, and we get a detailed description of his many abs, tattoos, and oh no, scars all over his body. Since Wolf's heel cuts too quickly to leave scars like this, they must be from before he bonded. And since Stark was only 18 when he bonded, this means, unfortunately, they are from his childhood. Q, who did this to you? This time coming from Meryn. So here we have two popular microtropes. The first being a physically scarred MMC. And this is such a popular microtrope. We're talking, we've got the OG scarred MMC, Jamie Fraser. Probably the most famous scarred MMC, Zayden Ryerson. Gavin Smith, Prince Luther Corbois, Zayd Meadows. I mean, the list could go on.
Absolutely.
And then we get the who did this to you. And I just love that we are flipping this microtrope on its head and it's coming from Meryn here.
I love the protectiveness. It's great no matter what side it's coming from.
Yes, and like then he even says like stand down queen or stand down princess, like it's already been taken care of. I love it.
Yeah, like he doesn't feel emasculated from it, which I love.
Exactly.
Stark
Yes.
doesn't Stark is very confident in his masculinity. He is not threatened by a protective woman.
Not at all. Also because he has already taken care of it. So Stark reveals the scars are from his weapons trainer as a child, who Sigurd hired to make Stark, quote, strong enough to survive the end of the world. And we finally find out how Stark got the mysterious scar on his jaw that I know you've been obsessed with, Kate. That was from Sigrid herself when he was just 12.
Which is just brutal to hear, but I am a little disappointed that it wasn't from a sexy little overzealous bite. Oh well. It's much darker, much sadder than that.
Well, I don't like to imagine him with anybody other than Meryn, so I'm glad that it wasn't from a sexy little bite.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Stark's whole life, he has been honed into a weapon. And here we get a clue as to why. While we learn later in the book what exactly being Sovereign Alpha entails, Stark's line here gives us a hint at Sigurd's relationship with Nocturne. Quote, strong enough to survive the end of the world. The end of the world. Something tells me she knew far more about his plans than we realize.
Even with where Sigrid's story goes, I hope we still get more of an understanding of what her relationship with Nocturne looked like. Like, how much was he actively controlling her versus just subtly influencing her?
Well, Kate, we're on the lookout for clues, let me tell you. Every
Mhm.
single Sigrid scene, we're looking for clues.
Yes.
The tension is thick in this scene. The revelation about Stark's childhood infuriates Meryn, and she struggles to get her shadows under control. Once she does, we get another almost kiss scene, yet again interrupted by the cutest little siphon in Nocturna.
Sayla is just like a professional cockblock at this point. Like, I, again, as the younger sister, I really hope that I was not this infuriatingly unaware, but I don't know. I don't know.
You probably were.
Oh, I know. I know. Now I'm just like trying to go through my entire childhood. Like, I'm positive that there was one time that I'm aware of, and my sister, who knows what I'm talking about, will probably bring this up next time I talk to her. But other than that one time, I don't know if it happened, but I look forward to hearing about it, I'm sure.
Sorry, sis. When they arrive in Weissenstadt, the air is thick with smoke. Astriona is burning their crops. The camp is eerily empty and chaotic, and they pass a wagon of bodies, and Meryn sees Rodert, a strategos she recognizes from their raw bond training.
I believe he was the one who she described as being dumb as rocks.
She did. And it's surprising that Dagon's body's not on top of his because that was the other one that was dumb.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm sure that he didn't die because he was dumb, but it probably didn't help.
You said it.
Sorry, Rodert.
As they discuss their options in the central command tent, Meryn taps into her foresight. But every path she takes ends in death, except for one. She must go into the field alone and use her shadow powers. Thank the faceless goddess Meryn has this type of power, but damn, what a strategy. Let's send the queen into battle against our enemy's army alone. Sigurd says Stark will go with, and since his line can also shadow bend, it won't hurt him. Wanting as much power as possible for this task, Meryn asks Sayla to borrow the necklace, and we finally learn its true power. She thinks that combined with the crown, it will give her more power, which it does. But as soon as it's off, Sayla starts packing. Quote, I must go to him. Without the necklace, she is fully in the thrall of the sire bond. Okay, so I love that we were right about this necklace providing some kind of protection against siphons. The fact that it blocks the sire bond is an especially interesting piece of magic.
Yeah, like it seems like I don't know that we know the like full extent of what its power can do, but it seems to protect against any kind of mind control. Because later in the book, we also see it work to protect Meryn from Killian's influence when she only succumbs to his control once Noemi takes the necklace from her.
Oh, that's
So,
right. Yes.
it seems to just be protecting you from the siphon magic controlling you.
So what's interesting about that is we know that the goddess tears came from Lumina, like crying them out. And I assume that she had a reason for creating each of them. I'm wondering if that's something that we're going to learn about in the next book. Like the destruction one, I'm going to need some answers on that one. But I think this definitely gives us a little bit of ammunition to the theory that Astrion is the siphon god or created the siphons or whatever, because the tears seem to have been created in response to siphons and their abilities to control minds.
Yes. It seems like the tears, like the powers of them, maybe relate to what the Faceless Goddess needed, what Lumina needed at
Hmm.
that time, of like, she has the power of protection against siphon magic. So, yeah, what shenanigans was Astrion getting up to that she felt like she needed that? And then she has, the destructive power, which maybe she just felt like she needed some extra firepower behind her. And then just that's kind of the way that I'm thinking about it, is like the 7 tiers are the 7 abilities or powers that Lumina needs to kind of protect herself.
Yeah, That makes a lot of sense. So Stark and Meryn set out at dawn, and Meryn uses rifting to sneak into the Siphon camp. Stark silently decapitates one, and Anasa smells the next one coming, which begs the question, if the direwolves can smell siphons, why didn't any of them smell Sayla?
I'm not sure, really, but two potential theories that I have here is maybe because she doesn't fully have her siphon magic yet. Like maybe she's still close enough to being a human that she doesn't smell as strongly yet. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they do smell her, but Anasa has ordered the wolves to be chill about it and like keep it to themselves.
Oh, that's interesting because they don't gossip.
Yeah.
Like she makes a whole comment about how direwolves don't gossip. That's below them. That's interesting because that also begs the question of like, well, is that something they would hide from the riders? Although clearly some things aren't shared with the direwolves. Like we learn at the end, like they don't know that Nocturne lives inside the Sovereign Alpha,
Right. Right,
right?
because I think Secret kept that from Genikos, right?
Like she makes a whole comment about how some things can't be shared with the wolves.
Yeah. So yeah, so not everything is shared with the wolves, but also we've seen before how they trust Anasa pretty much implicitly.
Mm-hmm.
So if she had told them like, "Hey guys, just be cool. This is not a big deal. Don't worry about it."
Yeah,
like maybe they would just not worry about it.
yeah, yeah, maybe.
But I don't know. I don't think we got anything confirmed. Those are just my guesses.
Once in the camp, Meryn drops the rift and they continue to attack the siphons. Meryn is beginning to lose control of her shadows when she hears Stark in her head. I'm here with you. She reaches out to him, and here's where things get interesting. Quote, a shadow-spun link seems to connect them. And then we get this line. Finally, a piece of my soul sighs. Their shadows and souls bind together and act as one as they take out dozens, possibly hundreds of siphons. This tells me that they are mates. And it makes me wonder whether Lumina and Nocturne were mates, and those are the parts of their souls that are connecting, or if similarly to the goddess tears, there is something hidden within them that yearn to be united.
I love the idea of them being fated mates. I kind of assumed that they might be mates once we learned that their wolves were mates, but since we know that bonded riders don't have mates the way that their wolves do, I'm also curious what is powering this connection. Like, I definitely think it's tied to their link to the gods, but I need to learn more about Nocturne and Lumina's relationship before I can have a really solid theory there. But please continue to speculate because I love the way that your mind works on this stuff.
We get that line from Sigurd to Stark about how they could show Meryn the documents that prove that the Sturmfrost queens have always mated the rider of their wolf's mate, right? So if it's something with Lumina, I don't know. It just makes me wonder if like the Sturmfrost queens always have a mate, maybe. Whether that's
Maybe.
regarding Lumina or it's just something with the queens themselves. But the finally part is what makes me think it's something connected to the gods and it hasn't happened before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because is it finally like, oh yeah, we've waited, the 500 years for this? Or is it finally like, this is what we've always been waiting for?
Right. Or is it finally like I've waited 25 years? you know?
Yes. Yeah, we don't know the context for how long this tension has been building.
Shockingly, the Siphons further away seem to retreat. Is this a trap? But then they part, and General Ruby Navarro, representing King Lucian Brightbane, proposes a ceasefire so they can unite against their true enemy, Alistair Brightbane. The peace talks are held at Lord and Lady Grunfall's abandoned manor house. While the Siphons do want to pursue Alistair together, they demand that Meryn travel with Ruby to Brightbane and Astriona to meet with King Lucian. If she refuses, they plan to enter Nocturna by force to find him themselves. They give them 24 hours to decide before hostilities will resume. And then, as a gesture of goodwill, they bring in Meryn's siphon father. This was an exciting moment to get to. We've been suspecting all of this since Direbound, that Astriona was not the true enemy, but rather Alistair was acting on his own, and that Meryn's father was turned siphon. And all things considered, we got to it fairly quickly in this book. Plenty of authors, George R.R. Martin, I'm looking right at you, would have taken an entire book or 3 to get to this point.
It was pretty satisfying to get this one right, though. Like, I know this one was not one of our more far-fetched theories. Like, we definitely had a lot to back this one up, but it just has so many implications that I'm really glad that we nailed this one.
This is really quite a perilous situation for Meryn. She has depleted forces, and if the siphons continue to burn their crops, her people will starve. However, it's a wild move and a wild ask for them to have to send their queen as a captive into enemy territory.
I know that you had said that you wanted a little bit more political intrigue in this book, and for me, this is the best that we get. Like, these negotiations here are the intrigue that I really enjoyed. I agree that it could have gone a little bit deeper, but I do think that it's pretty interesting to think through like each side's motivations and who Meryn can trust. Like, the siphons seem to have the upper hand and more negotiating power at this point, but they also could be bluffing, knowing that they can't defeat Alistair without Meryn's power. So I appreciated the intrigue at this part of the book.
Yes, I do agree with that. I do agree. Everyone leaves so Meryn can get some quality time with dear old dad, and she is big mad. Her shadows start to swirl, and when her father lifts his hand, he is missing a finger. So, I guess he used one of those fancy incurable swords when he Peter Pettigrewed himself.
I still think that he should have 12 fingers,
I
honestly.
agree. I agree. Especially after we see how horny he is with Ruby. That could be a whole novella.
Like we said before, what them fingers do.
Meryn uses her shadows to bind her father to a chair, and we hear his side of the story. He was close to death on the battlefield when Ruby found him and offered him life. He tells Meryn just what every little girl wants to hear. He couldn't go back to his old life, so he viewed them as dead, and he's with Ruby now. Meryn, of course, says what most daughters would in this situation. Isn't she a little young for you? And here we learn that despite looking about Meryn's age, Ruby is apparently 400 years old.
At this point in the story, I just had to kind of check in on the timeline for everything that Meryn has been through at this point because, oh my God. Like, I feel like we're still talking, what, like 5 months or so from the beginning of Direbound? Like, we are not talking big jumps of time here, and so much has happened to her. Like, the revelations just keep coming. Just this whirlwind in such a short amount of time. Her sister gets kidnapped. She bonds a direwolf. Her boyfriend turns out to be a prince. She becomes an alpha. She kills the king. Her prince boyfriend proposes and turns out to be a siphon. She learns she's a long-lost queen with insane powers. Her best friend is killed, and now her dead dad is a siphon? Like, Jesus.
And to your point, Kate, maybe they need to invest in therapists in Nocturna.
Because, like, again, 5 months maybe? Like, am I wrong in that? I feel like that's the timeline.
I think it might be 6, but yeah, about that. Because well,
Like,
how long are the bonding trials? 2 months?
4 months.
4 months?
Yeah, the bonding trials are 4 months, and then she
3
had
weeks to
like
coronation,
3 weeks. Yeah.
and then they left. They had some time after coronation. Well, wait. So they had the coronation. There was a little bit of time between the coronation and when Phylax defected, right?
I don't think it was like a lot of time though.
Well,
So anyway,
yeah.
somewhere between like 5 and 6 months.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Holy
Yes.
shit.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I'm like, I can't go to the grocery store and watch an episode of my show on the same day.
But you
Like,
didn't even mention that her mom died too. Her mom,
oh my God. See, I didn't even.
actually, her boyfriend killed her mom so that
I
he could
missed
propose to
it.
her.
There's so much shit going on. I missed a pretty big piece of this about her mother, her poor maddened mother being killed by her siphon boyfriend. Oh my God. So anyway, a moment of peace for Meryn, please.
Honestly, Meryn deserves another Ember Wine night because, like, our girl, she needs to blow off some steam. Well, I guess she's about to, actually. So let's get into it. Meryn reveals her mother was pregnant with Sela when her father went missing, which he is shocked to learn. This hurt her even more that he didn't even bother to attempt to find out if they were okay.
I'm Jesus Christ, dude. Like, it's one thing to be forced to stay away from them due to the war and him being, like the one thing that they fear most, but to not even attempt to find a way to check on them, not even once. He's fucking a high-ranking general. You know he could have easily gotten some intelligence on them if he tried, like, at all. So that's
Right.
some real abandonment.
Sure is. Sure is. Her father then tells Meryn that Astriona isn't what they believe. Humans live there peacefully among the siphons. This man has been lying to her for the past 12 years, so of course, Meryn is not particularly willing to believe his propaganda.
She has absolutely no reason to listen to anything that he has to say, honestly.
No, no. Meryn storms out, saying she needs to hurt something, which Stark says he can help with.
Yes, Meryn, hurt him, use him, he can take it. His words.
And now we're in a Stark POV chapter, and he and Meryn ride off together. Anasa is just as worked up, and the wolves bite at each other. Let it out, Stark commands Meryn, recognizing that she needs someone to meet her violence, not just take it. And the flirting starts. Hit me, Stark says. Or what, Alpha? Or I'm going to take you over my knee and spank you like the obstinate brat you are. Hello, brat kink.
Ah. And normally I wouldn't encourage a woman not to hit a man just so that he will hit her, but here we are.
They fight with their powers and then with their weapons, and Meryn ends up on top, and Stark pulls her in. It seems like they are about to kiss, but she asks about what happened yesterday. What was that? Should we try it again? Stark is hesitant, and we get this internal line, quote, I ache for her, and I hate her for it. He agrees to try the connection, which bears open their souls to one another. There's no hiding their overwhelming desire at this point. And then we get fuck it. And Stark flips Meryn over and kisses her.
Thank God.
Yes! Say what you want about this book, but I have no complaints about the spice. The tension built up so well, but not too long. And this is exactly the kind of spice and tension that I'm looking for. Like, I have butterflies.
I'm so glad that we didn't have to wait until the end of the book for them to get together. I mean, we've been waiting since we first met Stark in Direbound. And I know getting spice from them this early on in the series, though, did make you suspicious that a big conflict could come up in the next book between them. Like, they can't possibly be happy together for a full book and a half. But that aside, the impending potential doom aside, I was very happy that we started to get into this territory at this stage of the book.
Yes, I don't care. Like, get to it now, and we will deal with whatever evil monster Stark becomes in the next book.
That's next book's problem.
That's next book's problem. I actually got into an Instagram argument yesterday about this.
Do tell.
It was from our podcast account, so sorry, Kate. But
Oh God.
it
What
was
have
all
you done,
polite.
Rachel?
It was all polite. It was all polite. But there was this post where the post, it was like kind of viral post about how they shouldn't even touch until book 2. Not even touch. Like, we're not even talking about spice in book 2, not even touch. And if that's not the case, then it's not a slow burn. And I was like, I don't want to read that.
But also, I mean, there's no rules, okay? Anybody who claims that there's some kind of specific formula that you have to follow, like, no. If there's yearning, if there's tension, if, it does take most of a book for them to get to any kind of physical intimacy, like, it's slow burn. And it's
I
about
agree.
vibes, okay? If you are on the edge of your seat just waiting for them to get together, that can be a slow burn. There's no rules, okay?
I agree. And also, that's what I love so much about Direbound. Like, Stark and Meryn did not Stark and Meryn hated each other in Direbound. They did not touch at all in Direbound. But it was a
That's
very
not
spicy
true.
book. Stark and Meryn?
They're training.
Oh yeah, and the licking. And
Yeah.
that's true.
Some of their favorite moments were them touching.
Okay, you're right. They did touch. They did touch, but they didn't kiss.
No, like, it wasn't romantic touching yet. It was like maybe sexually
there was licking and
fueled
biting
with the licking, but
yeah.
But yeah, they definitely touched.
Okay, so they touched, but they didn't kiss. My point is that Direbound was spicy as hell, but it was still a slow burn, a 2-book slow burn that took until Furybound for the payoff. And all I'm saying is that's like what I love probably the most about this series.
Is that we can get our cake and have our cake and eat it too? Is that it?
Yes, we can have our cake and eat it too. That's correct. And Stark's
we
about
get the
to have
spice.
Stark's about to eat his cake.
His strawberry flavored cake.
Stark's about to eat his strawberry shortcake. Back in Meryn's POV, she tells him that she wants to close the bond so that she can be in her own head and fully feel it. His emotions are entangled with hers, and they're just too much in this moment. Before they do anything, though, Meryn asks about Noemi, and we can finally put that love triangle behind us, because Stark confirms that she's just like his sister. Although, Meryn does have questions continuing throughout the book. This girl just will not believe him. Stark demands that Meryn tell him what she wants, and she starts to tear up, never having been asked that before. Meryn tells him she wants him in control, and we get this fantastic line, quote, "You're always in control, Meryn. Now spread your fucking legs." Amazing to see Meryn get the dominance she craves, but with full consent.
This is what we wanted from those Killian scenes. The dominance is just so much hotter when we know that it's actually for her benefit and for her pleasure with her consent. Like, Killian, I think, was going to be dominant with her no matter what she actually expressed that she was looking for in their sexual relationship. But Stark is like, this is what you want. I'm absolutely going to give it to you, but we're on the same page here.
And you're going to need to beg me for it first.
Yes.
Stark commands her to strip, and we get a "use me" from Meryn. Stark then commands her to get on all fours in the dirt, then pushes her torso down and goes to town. And Ming and Meryn loves it. She says, quote, "Whatever is happening here is literally filthy, and I've never been so turned on in my life." Of fucking course, Ming and Meryn loves the dirt. Of fucking course.
Like, she has such a hold over this man. He's going feral and forgetting that he actually prefers to be a clean person.
That's such a good point. Stark is literally a clean freak doing like the nastiest dirty right now.
I mean, Talk about thralls. The control that she has on this man, the chokehold that she has on his desire. It's a beautiful thing,
Sure
but it is
is.
nasty. Okay, this is dirty, and it sounds itchy.
I can tell you that I personally am not interested. That sounds like a great way to get poison ivy. Stark doesn't let her reciprocate or undress him, so we haven't seen him fully naked yet. So, the slow burn continues, just with the tension slightly released. They lie together after, but then he's broody, which is some fuckboy shit. I hate this so much. It's giving fucking Chuck. It doesn't track at all with anything we know about Stark, and it's just so cruel.
I know that at this point Stark feels like Meryn would be better off without him, and he brings out the worst in her, but I don't understand it. Like, once again, we're getting a miscommunication trope, or the start of one, where instead of talking to Meryn about his concerns, he's just going to be moody and inexplicably distant. I have no patience for miscommunication.
No, you've been to far too much therapy for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Meryn and Stark head back to the war tent to discuss their options, but truly, they have none. But they can offer terms of their own. And of course, Meryn says, "Why don't we take my dad's new plaything as a hostage?"
What a baller move.
I know, I love it. They determine that Sela will go with them, as well as Venna and Noemi. Though it seems like a terrible choice to send both the princess and the queen into enemy territory, taking the siphon to the siphon run country seems like a great idea. Of course, we see later how much of a positive this truly is for Sela, but it also sparks some hope in the moment for Meryn as well. Perhaps they'll find resources for Sela there. And when they are discussing who should go on the trip, I also think we get a clue about Sigurd's relationship with Nocturne. After she says it's fine if Sela goes on the trip, and before she decides that Venna and Noemi will join as well, it reads, quote, "A calculating shadow passes over her eyes, and she tilts her head as if listening to someone." Meryn assumes that Sigrid is consulting with her wolf, Genikos. But Kate, I think this was Nocturne. And I think it's because he wanted to make sure that they had a representative from each pack to make it through the trials at the castle.
Agreed. Once we learned that Sigrid is connected to Nocturne, I saw all of her calculated decisions very differently. Everything she did was no longer in the context of just helping herself gain power, but was instead in the context of furthering Nocturne's agenda.
Yep. Yep. And especially like the order of things. The fact that she said, yes, Sayla should go. And then she starts thinking, like, why do you have to think so hard about Venna and Noemi? You know, like it's
Right.
not, you don't really need to consult on that in theory. Meryn reveals everything to Sayla, including their father and the plan to travel to Astriona. And Homegirl does not take it well. Even the next day, she is still sullen, not making eye contact with Meryn. And when I read this, I was convinced that she was Alistair. And that's why she was hiding her eyes from Meryn. Like, I have all these notes that are like, Alistair, Alistair, is she Alistair? Does she have bright blue eyes? But I guess it's just feelings of being overwhelmed at traveling into their enemy's country, knowing that she is now one of them, and also the feeling of shock and anxiety at meeting the father that she thought was dead her entire life. When she finally meets Frederick, Sayla is trembling. Before they depart, Frederick and Ruby grossly make out, and he even grabs her ass, to which Meryn is rightfully horrified. Oh my God, not only did your dad abandon you for a woman who looks your age, but he's now making out with her in front of you. Bum. Bum, bum, bum.
Ugh, like, I know he doesn't have much experience being a dad, on account of the abandonment. But read the fucking room, dude. He's making it so hard not to hate him.
He really is. He really is. As they make the journey into Astriona, The siphons are traveling on horses, and the direwolves and their riders are losing their minds at how slow the horses are. The horse hate in this book is cracking me up.
They have absolutely no respect for these horses. Kratos is so annoyed having to play nice with his food.
I know. He's like, I want to eat one. Let me eat them. And then there's even a scene where, like, Stark tells him that he's had enough forbidden meat for the day. Like, that was so funny.
Just a nibble, please.
But the journey goes from boring to contentious pretty quickly when the land around them becomes beautiful and brimming with life. Nothing like the barren wasteland they've heard so much about. All of the riders, except for Venna, are in awe. The siphons reveal they've been using their mind magic on crypto spies over the years to make Astriona seem less inviting to them. And they continue their display of magic on Venna. Kratos says, "Oh, hell no," and bites off the arm of Hanlon, one of the siphons, and he consumes it in one chop. So, first of all, we were right about the siphon propaganda. And what a brilliant way to ensure that the fighting stays largely on the Nocturnan side of the border by making it seem like there is definitely nothing anyone would want to conquer in Astriona. But we also get an amazing Kratos move. And Anasa loves it, saying, "Oh, he can't help it. Tearing apart siphons is just what he was made to do."
I love Kratos, but we can't always get what we want, okay, buddy? Like, I was made to read books in a cozy cottage in the woods, drinking iced coffee and eating warm bread. But instead, I have to participate in capitalism so I can afford to live, okay? We'd all like to metaphorically eat our enemies' arms, but that's just not how the world works.
Do you think that by getting removed via direwolf, the arm will not grow back?
I hope so.
Because I think it was Venna. One of them says something like, "Oh, stop whining. Like we all know that you can survive without an arm. Like we know this won't kill you." I think it was Venna. I think she says, "Oh, stop whining. We know that losing an arm won't kill you." And we don't really get an answer as to whether it grows back or not.
But also, if it does grow back, what does that process look like? Like, is there a point where they just have like a little,
Yeah.
like a little baby hand like growing out of their shoulder?
I think so. Haven't you ever grown like a plant from a seed? It's got to just,
Yeah,
you
it's got to
know,
start with just a
just a little sprout.
little sprout. Oh, man.
With Frederick's help, Meryn and the siphon leader, Elias, broker a peace agreement to avoid a battle. Soon they arrive at a town where the siphons plan to stop for supplies while the direwolves and riders wait outside to avoid any attention. But Stark and Meryn are like, "Yeah, we're not falling for that." So, Kate, we get a one horse trope as Meryn and Stark, who still isn't talking to her, mount the same horse to escort them into town. This trope gets me each and every time. And next up, we have a Stark POV chapter where we get to hear just how erect he is on this horse.
Do you have any experience riding horses?
Yes, I actually booked a romantic horse ride on my honeymoon, but we each had our own horse, and it was not romantic.
I'm just asking because I have ridden them a number of times in the past, and let me tell you, I don't know that I'd have been able to feel anything remotely approaching arousal while riding a horse. It was not comfortable, and my lower regions fell asleep almost immediately, kind of dampening the possibility of getting all hot and bothered. So I love the visual of this trope, but like my brain is just like, I have never been comfortable enough on a horse to be horny. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe if you ride them a lot, it's different.
yeah, I get. I've never been proficient, you know.
Yeah. No, me neither. I went on like the intro to riding a horse ride on my honeymoon when I had this grand idea of like this Highland adventure because we were in Scotland, this Highland adventure of just being on my horse, like I'm an Outlander or something. And it was like, let's go around this little field because you don't even know how to make your horse go. During this Stark POV thought process, we also learn that he regrets licking Meryn like a lollipop because he thinks he's moving too fast and endangering her by driving her towards Sigurd's plans. Fucking meddling moms and meddling great, 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 great evil granddaddies.
But also, like, God forbid he talk to her about his worries.
Oh, yes, that would be very mature. You're right. As they arrive in the town, Stark and Meryn are shocked to find sturdy, well maintained homes with overflowing gardens and well fed humans living peacefully alongside siphons. David, one of the siphons traveling with them, gives them a download on Astrionan culture. All siphons can drink animal blood for sustenance, but fresh human blood is preferred. Bagged blood is also available at meat markets. There is a building in town that sounds almost like a cathedral with a red lantern that colors the street red where humans can sell their blood. And it's immoral and illegal to drink children's blood. We learn that the raid just over the border in Astriona, when they thought they were rescuing Selah and Direbound, was actually a children's orphanage. Apparently, they rescue orphans they find in Nocturna and raise them in Astriona. Meryn is pissed and horrified at this. But when you think about it from the Astrionan perspective, they are rescuing these children from a cold, barren country run by an evil monster where commoners are frequently starving.
Fair. But, like, it's a tricky situation because there's no guarantee that the children would be safe if they stayed in Nocturna, but just because they're orphans doesn't mean that they're without family or people that care about them. Like, if you think about Selah, for example, she's technically considered an orphan, before learning that her father is still alive. But she still had a sister and a community that cared about her. And if Siphons had found her and decided that she'd be better off in Astriona, away from her community and everything that she knows, that would have been so traumatizing. So maybe some or even most of these kids are better off in Astriona, but I don't think you get to just like unilaterally make that call. So I get why Meryn is so upset.
Yeah, I agree. It's giving white savior, siphon savior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They've got a few complexes, okay? You know,
Mm-hmm.
white savior complex, siphon savior complex. They definitely have a superiority complex.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And we get into that once we actually get into Brightbane, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, we learn that turning is highly regulated. So people are not just turning humans into siphons willy nilly. They're also not attacking people and draining them of all their blood constantly, which is what the Nocturnans believe is happening. So maybe these guys aren't as bad as Meryn thinks.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, they're definitely not as bad as the propaganda made them out to be, but they have their own issues, biggest of which is this superiority complex that is just so grating.
Meryn and Stark explore the town on their own, and Meryn turns down an alley, pushes Stark against a wall, and then pulls a knife on Stark. Plot twist.
Talk to me or else. Like, hallelujah, Meryn is refusing to accept this miscommunication trope.
That's so true. She really is like, no, we're gonna deal with this.
We're not fucking dealing with this again.
Meryn confronts him for ignoring her, and he reveals that it was a mistake. Quote, I've tasted you and discovered my favorite flavor. You haunt me. You consume me. And it's sheer agony because whatever that was, it cannot happen again.
Right, his favorite flavor of strawberries and ember wine. Okay.
Kate, we were looking at, there was a day that you and I went shopping and we were looking for a Meryn scented candle of strawberries and ember wine. But I think what we really need is a Meryn scented ice cream flavor, or excuse me, a Meryn flavored ice cream flavor, because strawberries and wine sounds good. It's like strawberries and champagne, like a white ember wine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is our
Then
this
we could really lick Meryn.
this is this is gonna be our Romantasy small shop. Like, everybody's doing candles, everybody's doing merch and swag. We're gonna do Romantasy flavored ice cream.
Or maybe we do lollipops, for like shipping options.
That's true. That's true. Lollipops would be the easiest to create and sell, but ice cream is just my favorite food.
Well, ice cream, you get like the dripping, you
Oh,
get
yeah.
more of the, um, you really have to, uh, once you start, you have to finish.
Once you pop, the fun don't stop.
We'll workshop this.
Yeah. TM, TM, TM. We're suing y'all. If somebody else takes this idea, sue. Stark admits to himself that it's not just because of Sigrid. He's wrong for her. He brings out the worst in her, encouraging her shadows and darker instincts. But Meryn pushes back. He's more than this one thing. They are equals. What about this connection that they have? I love that Meryn pushes Stark here. Personally, I would feel angry and rejected and embarrassed, and my stubbornness would probably not allow me to have that conversation. At least not at this point in their relationship. But I think this shows just how much Meryn learned from her struggles with Anasa during the bonding trials. And she knows there's something special between her and Stark, and she doesn't want to lose it because of fear and miscommunication.
I was so relieved to get this moment from her because I was sitting here like preparing myself for another painful round of miscommunication.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, fuck, not again. But thank God Meryn came in. She saved us all from that. Just another round of that torture. So
Thank you,
good stuff.
Queenie. Their conversation is cut short when they hear a woman scream and find this woman lying on the ground about to be fed on by two siphons over her late rent payment while her child watches. So maybe they are just draining humans in the street. Stark immediately beheads one, while the other siphon grabs Meryn by the head, ready to snap her neck. But Elias and David show up just in time, commanding them to stop on the king's orders and flash a brooch, a sun with wavy rays. We learn that blood is payment there, and the landlord siphons were well within their rights to collect rent. This brooch has my attention, Kate. I've never seen a brooch in a fantasy book that didn't mean something. Along those lines, why does every Romantasy book have a brooch and a dais? These are words I never use, but every single Romantasy author does.
And let me be clear, I know that you know what a brooch is, but would you like to tell our listeners how you pronounced it the last time we read it in a book?
I knew that it was pronounced brooch, but I said brooch. Like, I know that it's brooch, but brooch is just, it looks like brooch. It looks like brooch. And dais just gets me every time. It's only 4 letters, but is it
Yeah, I mean Rachel has
diasis?
Rachel has a vendetta against these words. And you're right, they come up so often for like otherwise pretty unpopular vocabulary. Like they come up so much in these books, and I every time I read one I think about you though and how you're probably suffering.
I am. Even if I'm like just like, it's not like I'm sitting there reading it out loud, but it just kills me every time. When they return to the outpost where they are staying, Meryn tells Stark, "You are a broken man. The shattered pieces of me recognize the shattered pieces of you, and that's why I'm telling you, I will give you time. BRB, I'm crying, Kate."
I mean, this felt like one of those like early aughts kind of slightly emo songs. Like it's giving such great heights. The gods made them into corresponding shapes like puzzle pieces from the clay.
Yes. Yes. Yes, it's giving Grey's Anatomy. As their journey continues, the weather gets steadily warmer, but Stark and Meryn are only getting colder. They are avoiding each other except when they sleep, and everyone notices. And yeah, because that's weird. So at this point, no one knows that they hooked up, just that they apparently hate each other, but also cuddle up every night. Like, yeah, I'd be talking about you too.
Y'all are making the vibes real weird. Like, figure your shit out and stop making it such a nightmare for your friends.
Meryn finds Selah and Frederick curled up and chatting, and Selah seems like her old self. But she looks guilty and dips her head when Meryn sees. Selah leaves to groom the direwolves, which is apparently her new favorite pastime, and apparently she tried to put a bow on Kratos yesterday. Kate, I need fan art of Kratos with a bow, and I need it now, and I need it framed on my wall.
Yes, please. I love how he and Anasa put up with her primping. Like, obviously, Anasa handles it a little bit better than Kratos does, but the fact that he's willing to indulge her at all is amazing.
I know, I love it. Meryn asks Frederick if there is a cure to siphonism. He says he's searched, but no. Poor Selah. She finally has a present, not delusional parent, and one that is a siphon, no less. But she's worried she'll upset Meryn by their relationship. So that's why, in this moment, when Meryn catches them, so to speak, you know, she fucks off with the direwolves.
I mean, what a weight for a kid to bear. She has to balance Meryn's complicated feelings with her own conflicted reality. Like, if she accepts her father and the reality of her being a siphon, then she feels like she's betraying Meryn in some way. Like, it's just really complicated emotions and things to be dealing with as a kid.
That's such a good point. Again, maybe Astriona will have therapists.
So, I mean, these people are suffering. Man, they need some help.
They sure do. They sure do. They can take her to one that specializes in child turning to siphons. One that specializes in siphon child turning. Doesn't sound like a good
Children
name.
turned into siphons.
Yes. One that specializes in helping children who are turned into siphons cope with their new realities.
There it is.
There we go. There we go. The next day, they finally arrive in Brightbane, which sounds absolutely stunning. It sounds like something out of an Italian or Greek city, just breezy and warm and built to funnel breezes. Venna and Meryn share the thought that Isabel would have loved it. This is the first time that they've reminisced about Isabel together since her death, which is an important step in the grieving process to move from that raw pain to being able to accept the loss and think of them fondly, wishing that person was there. The symbol from Elias's brooch sits at the top of the gates, and several beautiful people are waiting for them there. Meryn assumes they are siphons, and she notes that they have ribbons around their neck. Weird. So, a few things here. We're definitely on Sun with Wavy Rays watch. Like, is this just the Bright Bane logo? That could definitely be what it is. Or will it come up again?
It seems to me like a family crest of some sort for the royals.
Right. So it could truly just be the family logo. Still keeping my eye out since it was mentioned twice. Also, these ribbons around their necks are weird. Just saying.
It's just it's a weird detail.
It's a weird detail. I want to know more about why. They are greeted by Philippe, Royal Chamberlain of Brightbane Castle, and he says that the king won't greet them. They'll be summoned. And pretty quickly, we deal with a culture clash. Stark demands quarters where their wolves can stay close, and Felipe responds that they don't keep pets inside. At this, Kratos lunges at one of the women and pulls the ribbon from her neck. Her head does not topple off, so we get no
I
answers
was
on why they're.
expecting that.
I mean, me too. Felipe condescendingly tells them that they sleep in beds in Astriona, not outside with their wolves, and he asks them if they eat raw meat. Ugh, this is just giving Americans in any other country.
Yes. Or it's also kind of giving any other country to Americans. I feel like we are the ones that they assume are barbarians at this point.
Yes,
And
yes.
they're honestly not totally wrong. Like they're like in this country we see something called a doctor when we get sick. Do you know what that is? And our food comes on plates, not in troughs and buckets.
And it doesn't have
Like
55,000 added ingredients to it that you're all allergic to, but for some reason you can just eat here. We're all like having these aversions to pasta in America, and and cheese, and we go to Europe and we can eat all the pasta and cheese we want, and we wonder why.
yeah, so again, they're not wrong, but you know, it is a little condescending sometimes.
I'm being condescending to ourselves right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely we are.
They get cleaned up, and we need a moment for the Astrionan fashion. The women are given lightweight gowns with intricate lacing up the backs, long sleeves, and high necklines. Stark is wearing what sounds like linen pants and a shirt in shades of blue, also with long sleeves and a high neck. Kate, I gotta know, I wonder why they're all hiding their necks, from the ribbons to the high necked clothing. Do you think it has to do with like hiding bite marks? And if so, why would it matter? Because I wouldn't imagine that the siphons would have bite marks. And I also don't feel like there's any sort of stigma to having a bite mark in Astriona.
It's a good question. I really don't have a theory for it, but I do wonder, like, what's going on here? Why are they so intent on covering their necks?
And it's weird too, because like they seem to be very open about sexuality. So I don't know why they would want to like cover up their skin more, especially since it's hot there.
Ooh, I just thought of something.
Ooh.
So we know that like the only way to kill a siphon is to cut off their head.
Hmm.
So what if it's just like, yeah, they're not ashamed of like their tits and their ass or like, you know, they're not ashamed of their sexuality, but they feel more exposed if their neck is exposed
Oh, that's interesting. Huh.
because that's their real weakness.
Hmm.
I
Oh,
don't know.
that's really interesting. I like that theory. They are summoned to dinner with Lucian Brightbane, and we finally get to meet the Siphon King. He's young, maybe late 20s, despite being ancient. He has shoulder length, white blonde hair, deep blue eyes, and a bunch of cunty little earrings. He's wearing a gold crown formed of twisting metal spikes that look both peaceful and lethal, which is the perfect symbol for the beautiful, deadly siphons. And what's in the middle of the crown? A tear. At least Mary noticed this one way sooner than the one on Sable's necklace.
I'm happy to see her learning.
Before dinner, we get a show. Two women enter wearing armor, but no helmets. Meryn recognizes that one of the women is the woman that Stark saved from being fed on by siphons in town, and the other is a siphon. Lucian explains that this is the woman's punishment for the siphon's death. The riders are horrified as the fighting begins, but the siphon wins with just 3 quick slices, hardly harming the woman. A bit anticlimactic. It's time for dinner, and more beautiful, scantily clad people enter the room and sit on the siphon's laps. The woman who lost the fight sits on Centaur, the siphon woman who bested her, and Lucia tells her to take her right as victor, so she licks her wounds.
So this scene, I was just wondering, like, why bother with the whole fight charade? They know that the siphon is going to win, and it's not actually a matter of life and death, since the woman will be released after she's used as a snack. So it seems more like maybe a power play or something, like giving the humans a false sense of control. to kind of keep them in line somehow. But like even from the human's perspective, she knows that she's not going to win the fight. She also knows that she's going to be fed on no matter what. And so why was she fighting so hard against the landlord previously if she knew that she'd have to go through this whole process anyway? I don't know. I'm just like not really getting it. Like if she knows that this would be her potential punishment and that she's not going to win and she's going to be fed on anyway, but then she also has to go through this whole like humiliation ritual thing. Why was like in my mind it seems like it would have been easier for her to just give her payment to the landlords
I know.
initially.
I know. I didn't get it either, especially since, as we see, like, it doesn't seem to hurt them. They kind of enjoy it in some ways. So I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm still not quite understanding the dynamics between the humans and the siphons in Astriona, I feel like,
I
because
agree.
we get a lot of the Astrionan perspective on it, right? Like they are all convinced that like, yeah, the humans are fine here. Like we treat them so well, but we don't get a human perspective of somebody who has lived in Astriona with the siphons all this time. So we're like getting glimpses of it here, and it's a weird dynamic. So I would love to learn more about them.
Me too. Hopefully next book. But now, Kate, it's time for dinner. Lucian bites into the woman on his lap, and the snack humans seem to be in a euphoric haze, even moaning, drunk. When they leave, they're described as not walking straight. I'm into this. This is exactly the kind of vampires that I'm into. I would say morally gray for sure, but also fancy and sexy as hell. Warm weather vampires are a vibe.
Once again, we're getting some True Blood influences here. Like there are plenty of humans in that universe that love being fed on.
You know who is not into it though? The riders, who are horrified and try not to react, but they are just repulsed by the wet feeding sounds.
I'd say it's misophonia, but I think it's actually a pretty standard reaction to be repulsed by the collective symphony of slurping blood.
Lucian notes Meryn isn't eating, and she says she doesn't trust the food. Fool me once, right? So he feeds it to his snack human to prove that it won't kill her. And now we get quite the data dump. Alistair is Lucian's older brother, but Lucian inherited the throne instead of him. So the entire war was because of vengeance.
And men really will start a war before attempting introspection.
We learn about siphon powers. Most siphons can create illusions, but they vanish like smoke. Most can't perform the long term history erasure Alistair is doing in Nocturna. So, how is he doing it? Is it somehow related to the tears? Up until this point, they didn't have any tears in their possession, did they?
Yeah, I believe the first tier that they get is the Mother Priestess's ring, right? So I'm thinking maybe it has to do with all the children that he drained. Like maybe children's blood makes you stronger, and that's one of the reasons that it's banned in Astriona.
Maybe, but we also learn here that siphons will age if they drink animal blood. They will not age if they drink human blood. Like the quality of the blood is what prevents them from aging. So, Lucian suspects that the Nocturnan kings were not drinking human blood because they wanted to age to hide what was going on. So, why were they draining children then? Like, was it just because of the bonding trials and trying to keep that going? There's definitely something weird going on there.
I mean, I also wonder if because what the like this whole like magical scaffolding that they're trying to hold up in Nocturna just takes so much power that even with supplementing their animal blood intake with children's blood, maybe it's still just like the sheer amount of power that they have to use still like wears them down. I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And also, maybe that's why the children aren't just constantly being drained. Like, it seems like I think Sayla said it was like every couple weeks or something he would come. So
Right.
maybe that's why it's not like every single day.
Yeah, like they're supplementing, right? Like when they need a little boost of power, they'll have a forbidden snack,
Hmm.
but most of the time maybe they are drinking animal blood. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Meryn still doesn't trust Lucian, so he says he'll show her and tells her to put on his crown. When she does, she plummets into a memory. She sees Lucian in bed with three other people in the middle of an orgy. This tracks. And an older woman interrupts and says to come quickly. His father needs to discuss something regarding Alistair. We then meet Alistair, who looks suspiciously like Killian, as his father confronts him for creating the thrall bracelets. He denies it, but multiple people step forward, showing bracelets that look identical to Meryn's engagement bracelet. For the good of our kingdom, Alistair claims, but his father cuts him off, exiles him, and makes Lucian his heir. At this, Alistair activates his sleeper agents. All of the king's guards are under his thrall too, and they behead the king. At that, Lucian races to put on his father's crown and fights back against Alistair, using illusions to show a dozen Lucians just running around to distract him. Alistair tries to convince Lucian he doesn't want the crown, that he would prefer a life of luxury. But Lucian continues to fight back. Not a chance, you sadistic asshole. And then Alistair vanishes as he tells him he'll take his throne back one day. I love that we get memories through the tears. What an epic memory. But I want to take a moment to discuss how the crown magic works. In addition to amplifying their existing powers, it seems like they also store the memory of the most recent succession, explaining how the crown passed to the next ruler.
Which is really interesting. So it seems like if the crowns carry the memories of the line of succession, what do the memories from the other tiers mean? Like, are they connected to something specific? Are they just memories of the events surrounding where they are hidden, or like, why they were created, I guess? Like, we see the goddess kneeling in the place where the tear is hidden in the statue. We see her crying in the tower where they found the other one. But I'm trying to think of like if all the memories are connected in the same kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other memories are less like distinct of, okay, the crowns clearly are showing the line of succession, but the other memories feel less like distinct in that way.
Yes, yes. And obviously, we've discussed like that's going to be a big part of the next book, I'm sure, like figuring out the order of the memories and how they're all connected and what it all actually means. But I just thought it was interesting that both crowns kind of tell the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a clear connection.
Next, we get another Stark POV chapter, and we learn that during all of this, Meryn collapsed, which is apparently also what happened when she put her crown on. Relieved to find her warm and not dead, we get a moment of Stark thinking maybe he is what she needs, her equal who can help her tame her darkness. Why do these men always need a damn near death experience to convince them that they need to get over their BS?
The clarity that they get from near death experiences is the clarity that we get through things like therapy or talking with our friends.
Ugh, these men.
It doesn't have to be this way.
They love the drama. When Meryn comes to, she asks about the bracelets, and Lucian explains that all siphons can create thralls, which give the siphons an amount of control over the human. It's a two-way exchange requiring a reciprocal drinking of blood with consent. It's temporary, requiring regular renewal through fresh blood exchanges and weakens significantly with distance. Humans consent to it because it heightens their senses. The bracelets combine a human and a siphon's blood and eliminate the need to actively drink it, making it possible to create non consensual bonds as long as the siphon can acquire the human's blood. And only the creator can remove the bracelet. If the wearer removes them, they die. Meryn acknowledges to Stark through her mental bond that Killian had tons of her blood from healing her after her fights. He's been doing this since the very beginning of their relationship. So, Kate, to that I say, are you really going to tell me I was wrong about Meryn being under a thrall for all of Direbound? Because I think she was the entire time. And I don't think that Killian turned after the Unity trial when he said he did. I just think that's when he became Alistair.
To be clear, I never said that he didn't have some kind of control over her. I just said that I wasn't sure that he was using siphon magic since he wasn't a siphon yet. I did say that he could be using some other source of power, but also I don't believe that he was a siphon the whole time. If he was using siphon magic to control her before she had the bracelet, then he would have needed her consent, right? And she would have needed to continually be drinking his blood as well, which we don't see.
Well, we do get a lot of bites, though. So maybe she's biting and getting a little drop of blood in there. I might need to do a Direbound reread, at least of the spicy chapters, just to see if I can connect these dots.
I don't think that they acknowledge her, like, tasting his blood over and over again.
Maybe it comes from another bodily liquid.
But doesn't it still have to be, like, it's the way that they describe this exchange, again, if it's not through the bracelets, is that it's a consensual thing. Like, I don't know that just consenting to having his, like, bodily fluids is the same thing as consenting to that connection.
Okay, that's true. But even if I'm wrong about her being in a thrall earlier, either way, it seems like he turned earlier than he admitted because of when she got the thrall bracelet. He would have had to have been a siphon to create the bracelet that he put on her when her mother died.
I mean, obviously Killian could have been lying. He's a fuckturd. But what if Alistair is the siphon she's technically bound to with the bracelet? Like, if that were the case, then Alistair could have theoretically created the bracelet as Cyril, and then maybe it transferred with him to Killian.
And then that would mean that Alistair actually is dead because the bracelet, she was able to take the bracelet off.
Maybe. I don't know.
Interesting. Lucian notes Meryn's eyes drift to her wrist, grabs her arm, and he sees the bracelet. And after knives are drawn, everyone settles down after they explain that Meryn seems to work differently, channeling her power rather than controlling her actions. Finally, they get down to negotiations. Lucian proposes a ceasefire and that they become allies against Alistair. Meryn and Stark mind speak, and Lucian calls it out. That's cute. He notices because they keep looking at each other. Lucian then shocks them all by saying he will give her control of the Astrionan forces to command. So we're back in a Meryn POV, and Stark and Meryn go for a long walk to discuss, ending up by some rock formations outside of the city. If they believe Lucian, once they let the Astrionan forces into Nocturna, what's to stop him from turning on them? Meryn notes that he doesn't seem particularly ambitious, so they decide to spend the next few days observing and getting to know him. I mean, yes, it seems wise not to allow Astrionan forces to infiltrate your country after knowing this guy for one meal.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe you need a little bit more time to get to know him.
But most importantly, we're about to get some sexy time in the desert against these rocks. So, Kate, as our smut expert, would you like to break down this spicy scene for us?
Rachel, I would love to. All right. So it starts with Stark getting jealous over the idea of Meryn getting to know Lucian, which we know he's a beautiful siphon, but Meryn has zero interest. So Stark really doesn't need to be jealous. So Meryn calls him out on his shit, saying, I've made it perfectly clear how I feel about you. You are the one holding back. Tell him, Meryn, you know? And Stark admits that when he thought he lost her, he realized he needs to tell her how he feels. Just like you said, takes a near-death experience for him
Yep.
to come to his senses. He tells her, if I'm a bad man, you make me want to do bad things for the right reasons. You are my right reason.
Swoon.
And then, once he gets enthusiastic consent from Meryn, which, again, we love, they go at it. A few key things that I particularly enjoyed about this scene. So first off, his nipples are the ones that become sharp peaks instead of just hers. I feel like that's something that we always see, like, oh, her nipples stand at attention, whatever. But no, he had pointy nipples. I don't know.
Razor
I don't know
sharp.
why that stood out to me, but I felt like it's something that we don't get that often. And then they talk about his size. So his size is definitely large, but the descriptions are not like insanely unrealistic. When she wraps her hand around him, her fingers barely touch, but they do touch. Like,
One hand? Is it one hand?
yeah, one hand. Okay. So if, like me and what you're seeing on the screen, you immediately made a circle with your fingers, you're like, yeah, I mean, like, that seems like a reasonable enough size. Like, I feel like we get descriptions sometimes that just sound like she could barely fit her hands around it, and you're like, okay, well, no thank you, I don't think I want that anywhere near me. So I liked that they made it very clear that he is a above average, like, good size, but not that he's like some kind of monster dick. So I appreciated that. um and I also just liked that he wasn't described as some kind of like Coke can baseball bat, but instead was just the right size to have her feeling, quote, perfectly whole.
So we've talked about Stark versus Killian. So Stark is
Mhm.
like barely touching, so I'm gonna go like,
Yeah, I mean, like, she's tall. I assume that her hands are like, you know, a little bit above average for a woman, but
so if it's fingers barely touching for Stark, is it like, what do we think for Killian? Is it like, I guess this is tough for a podcast. It's like the A-OK sign.
yeah,
Top of the pointer finger to middle thumb knuckle.
yeah,
That's what we're saying
yeah,
for
that seems
Killian.
right. Eh,
Uh, And then,
eh.
Kate, wait, I forgot to tell you this. Somebody commented on one of our episodes, or it was either one of our episodes or like the social clip, saying how Killian had her in a thrall, so he probably has like really the tiniest, and he was using his siphon mind powers to make her think that he was like huge, and it was an enjoyable experience.
Oh my God. I mean, listen, we've said this before. Size is not everything, okay? If you know what you're doing, it doesn't really matter what size you are. But it's still, the description of Stark made it seem like it would be a very enjoyable experience
Yeah, I
for
mean, I'm
Meryn.
here for quality and quantity.
Yeah, we can have both. That's fine. So anyway, his size, I appreciated. The description seems perfect, right in that like Goldilocks zone. And then Stark makes sure that Meryn knows that he's planning to ruin her physically, but not emotionally. Because she said that, like, she wouldn't let him ruin her. And he was like, hold up, like, I am going to ruin you, but you're gonna like it.
I'm gonna beat that
Gonna
pussy
ruin you.
up.
I'm gonna ruin you in the best kind of way.
Mhm.
And then we finally get a fully naked Stark. Hallelujah.
Woo!
I think you mentioned this before when we got him shirtless, that, they describe his like 6-pack abs. And I do have to wonder, would they use that description if a 6-pack, like, do they have 6-packs? You know what I mean? Like, I assume that description came from like a drink 6-pack, right?
Did they say 6-pack? I thought it was too
They
many
said
abs to count.
6-pack. I think they said 6-pack at some point
Mm.
in this book, because I remember thinking, like, would we use that? But I don't
Oh,
know.
you're
I'll have to
saying,
double check that.
do they have 6-packs of beer?
Yeah. Like,
They
yeah.
probably have 6-packs of ale.
Get it to go from ye old brewery.
Yes.
Anyway, I'll have to double check that because I do read multiple books at once. So it's possible that I was reading another scene where they describe a 6-pack that I questioned, but I'll double check that. But anyway, we get a fully naked Stark. Hallelujah. Then she says, "I was made for you." And he replies, "No, princess. We were made for each other."
By the
And we think
gods.
we think maybe they really were made for each other because they're fated mates, maybe?
I think so.
But good line. Good line. Very, very swoon worthy. And then as they're, mid coitus, he's very rough, but he's still caring for her comfort and her pleasure. Like he's making sure that she doesn't hit her head on the rocks, but is also like not being gentle with her, which
Mm-hmm.
I feel like is the perfect balance that she wants. Because as she said specifically, like, she's not going to let him break her. So
Yeah.
don't treat her like she's fragile.
Yeah. But
And then,
I did love when he was protecting her head from the rocks.
yes, yes. Because again, being rough doesn't mean that you're an asshole.
Right.
It just means that, like, yeah, like she's not going to break, but she is, still a human and can get abrasions and head trauma from a rock. That's not the kind of soreness that we're looking for after this encounter.
Anasta's just working nonstop to keep her head healed over and over again with every
As
thrust.
it's banging against the rocks. Oh my god. Yeah. Anyway, finally, he makes sure that she comes first. What a gentleman.
Mandatory.
Mandatory. So it was a really great scene. It was not my favorite sex scene from the book. We'll get to that one. But it was, for their first full spice scene,
Mm-hmm.
covered pretty much all the bases. It was good. It was very good.
Can you remind us, Kate, when you say covered all the bases, do they
Oh,
go straight from first all the way home, or do they touch on all the bases first?
well, okay. I don't listen. I don't ever. I feel like everybody has different ideas of what the bases are,
Okay.
but they definitely do reciprocal oral. So he does actually let her go downtown as well this time, which he stopped her before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was nice. And then I feel like he goes downtown a little bit, but I think they're a little bit impatient at that point, so it's
Yep.
not as like lengthy as a process as last time. Um and then yes, full penetration.
Okay.
So, but I mean, there's certainly things that they didn't do. There's plenty more to explore,
Oh, for
but
sure.
as far as their spicy scenes before this, this is like you do get to home base.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Kate, that was excellent journalism right there. Just full coverage.
full coverage, which is something that neither of them had at the end because their clothes were in tatters. Because we
That's
did
right.
get a microtrope here of like a ripped bodice. He used his knife to cut her out of her dress and like cut the lacing on the back. So I have no idea what kind of state they're in when they cobble their clothing back together to get back to town, but it seemed like they describe it as like they collect like the shreds of their clothing.
Yes, which is such a, I mean, I get that they are just desperate for one another at this point, but it is a wild move when you're already having, you know, sex in public to also say, I'll just destroy our clothes too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know that they were feeling a little bit impatient, but they weren't really like against the clock, you know. They could have taken like 2 seconds to untie some things, but it did seem like it was like a lot of laces. So, I kind of get it, but ultimately it's always short-sighted when you destroy your clothes in the heat of passion.
Sure is. Sure is. Well, afterward, they lie down and cuddle together, and suddenly Meryn is overwhelmed. Noemi is in trouble. And they arrive back at the castle, as you said, Kate, in just tattered clothing to find Lucian calm, but covered in blood as Venna and Noemi fight as guards. Meryn, of course, commands them to stop. And we find out that apparently Noemi snuck into his room and attacked him with a poisoned dagger. Venna came running to her rescue when Meryn alerted her that Noemi was in trouble. Noemi is livid, saying that Lucian deserves to die, and how could Meryn consider allying with someone who treats women like cattle? Though Lucian seems calm, there's a deadly undercurrent. You know things have taken a turn when your diplomat tries to kill the king.
Yeah, this one, I mean, I know that Noemi was not comfortable or not happy with what she saw them doing with the humans at the dinner, but I
Mhm.
was surprised when she like hatched this assassination plan, you know? But I mean, we've talked about this before. Trauma can manifest itself in some really wild ways. You know, it can make people act or feel certain ways that seem really contrary to who they are. Like you said, she's typically the one that is the diplomat, like good at keeping the peace and, you know, getting people to get along, but you know, her trauma is it's deep. So this was a surprising way for it to kind of show itself,
Yeah.
especially because this didn't really feel like a heat of the moment thing. Like she got a poisoned dagger. She like found him in his room to try to
Mhm.
murder him. You know, like it's not like they were like in an argument or she witnessed something and immediately just like, you know, crime of passion,
No,
like
this is
lost her
murder
cool.
one. This is murder one
Yeah.
for sure.
This this was a planned attack. So
Mhm.
that was what was surprising to me, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. As the guards move to take Noemi away, Meryn demands to speak with her privately. And here we learn Noemi was King Cyril's chosen companion during the bonding trials, which her father, Lord Isenfall, arranged. Apparently, King Cyril saw her when she was 12 and communicated his interest. Rich, powerful men preying on children. What is this? America? Release the files.
You know what? We know what's in the files. Okay, let's just start arresting some men, please.
Or send Noemi.
Send somebody in.
um, yeah, I mean, it's just so disgusting, that
Ugh.
that was all arranged when she was 12. Like, we knew that King
And by her
Cyril,
father
right,
again.
right. And like, we see that he's scum in the book, and we know that King Cyril is scum and doing creepy things with children. But yeah, it's just seeing the impact it actually had on someone is just awful.
Yeah.
And poor Noemi just wanted to please her father. Like, she was aware that he was an asshole. She knew that it was fucked up, but there was still something in her that wanted to please him. And Meryn can relate, thinking of her time with Killian. Even though she was consenting, it was still coercion. And this is the first time that she admits to herself that the relationship violated her autonomy. I know we talked about this a lot with our Direbound coverage and how the relationship was questionable, blurring the lines because of her desire to be submissive in the bedroom. So I'm glad that we're getting Meryn processing this on page and that we don't just gloss over it. I would say most women I know have had at least one questionable sexual encounter in their life. And even if it was just one line, I found it refreshing to see it acknowledged in the book. Yes, Meryn consented, sort of, but she was manipulated into it. And I also like that they use the word rape to describe Noemi's experience. Again, she might have chosen to be there, sort of, but it certainly wasn't consensual. She could perform or she could die.
Yeah, I mean, consent is not just saying yes or no. At this point, it's 2026. We know that it's much more nuanced than that. And especially when extreme power dynamics are at play like this, you really can't consent in a meaningful way. Like in Meryn's case, she was dealing with emotional manipulation since Killian was gaslighting her for their entire relationship. And emotional manipulation invalidates consent.
Mhm. After this one on one, oh, I'm not going to call it a one on one. After this heart to heart, it certainly brings Meryn and Noemi closer and makes them both feel that they're not alone in their experiences. But Meryn does tell her she needs to apologize. And Noemi's aware. She's like, I know this, I messed up. How do I fix this? Shockingly, Lucian accepts their apology pretty quickly. And Meryn notes that he enjoys having this to hold over them, which just gives us a little bit more of like this personality that Lucian has. Meryn thinks she needs Selah's goddess tier. She knows it will make her more powerful to help defeat Alistair. But first, Selah needs to know how to block the sire bond. So she goes to find Selah and Venna, and they're speaking animatedly in sign language. But Meryn isn't able to understand it, despite the fact that she's been trying to learn sign language. Meryn pulls Venna aside, who encourages her to talk to Selah. Selah has been confiding in Venna because she can relate to her. Both of them know what it feels like to be marked by difference. Venna with her hearing difference, and Selah as a siphon. Selah is excited to be somewhere where she fits in and she's the norm, not a problem. Knowing what we know about the end of this book, I love how Venna and Selah are creating this bond. I think it's going to help Venna significantly to have Selah help her process becoming a siphon. And of course, Selah will feel less alone as well. Venna asks Meryn about her relationship with Stark and congratulate her. Get it, girl. Meryn says, thanks. That means a lot coming from the Kryptos killer. And I just love when she rises her slutty friend.
I mean, we know that what Meryn has with Stark is much deeper than the fun that Venna was having in the bonding trials, but yes.
Yeah. And we also know in book 3 that Meryn's going to be saying, get it, girl, to Venna when she shows up
Oh, yeah.
making out with Lucian and letting him grab her ass.
Oh,
Frederick and
yeah.
Ruby style.
Ugh.
Venna, Selah, and Meryn go to find Lucian in the Astrionan Royal Library, which they describe as a temple to books. It's a massive room, and the shelves are carved directly into the castle stone. There are mirrors set up to flood the room with light without damaging the pages.
I mean, absolutely stunning, this description. I want to go to there.
I want to go there too, and it's also brilliant, the mirrors idea. I don't think I've
Yes.
ever heard of that or seen that before.
Yeah, just, I mean, so bright, but it still sounds almost cozy somehow
Mm-hmm.
with like the built-in shelves and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. Stark's library was our first sign that he was a good guy. So I also took this as another sign that Lucian isn't all that bad.
I mean, men who read are usually a big green flag. I mean, sure, there are some real shit books out there, but usually it's a good sign.
Well, that's because reading does build empathy.
Yes, it does.
Hmm. So get you a man who reads, or get your man a book. I also think we shouldn't be surprised when Selah wants to stay in Astriona later. Like, our girl loves books. I wouldn't want to leave this library either. A vacation destination with the best library you've ever seen. Like, just try to pry my immortal ass out of there.
I mean, not to mention the fact that this library is more likely to be like uncensored compared to the Nocturna libraries that she's used to, which can't possibly have all the information that she would want to know. You
Hmm.
know, it certainly doesn't have anything about Astriona in it. So this is a whole new realm for her. And
Hmm.
also just being able to read in a warm, sun-filled room rather than like a damp, dark, gloomy castle that she's used to. Yeah, I think she's going to be very happy there.
Yes. Lucian is studying documents on thrall bracelets to determine why Meryn's acts differently. He suspects it's something to do with her direwolf bond. And they reveal to Lucian that Killian is Selah's sire and the tear is blocking the connection. Lucian reveals he's wearing a tear necklace that matches Selah's, just like the tears in the crowns match. And he takes it off and hands it to Meryn, who immediately feels a rush of power. Meryn and Venna both notice an interested gleam in Lucian's eye. We don't dig into this, so I do feel that Lucian knows something about the tears that will come up in the next book, potentially.
Yeah. I do. I mean, he knows that the tears can give you visions
Mhm.
when like the right people hold them.
Mhm.
So I wonder if he was just like waiting for her to get some kind of vision or revelation or something.
Mm.
Because I know that they, work through that as they collect more tears later in the book. So that's the thought that I was having here was like he was waiting for her to see something.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Selah says crowns help her control her powers while the necklaces give her protection, and both tears make her magic stronger. What would happen if one person had all of the tears at once? And I just love that the 12-year-old is solving the tears. Like, I know she's smart, but can none of these adults make these connections?
Listen, I am continually questioning Marin's Strategos label. Okay, like she just is taking a little bit too long to make these connections to, see the threads in
Yeah.
everything that's going on. I know she's overwhelmed. I know she's got a lot on her plate right now, but
Hmm.
we also saw this when it took her forever to even think of the fact that like the opal in her crown and the opal in the necklace and the opal in the priestess's ring were all connected. Like,
Yeah. Or that her lying boyfriend, who actually is the prince, might have ulterior motives.
yeah, like as a strategos, I would think that she would have better pattern recognition skills, you know.
Right. Right. Yeah, maybe we should give Marin some puzzles for Christmas. Like, she she needs to train up on that skill.
Mhm. Yeah, do some brain teasers.
Yeah. Lucian reveals siphons have created other jewelry to block sire bonds, so there are other options for Selah outside of the tears, which is, a relief. Suddenly, Meryn is overwhelmed by pain in her temples, and she's thrown into Sigrid's mind, seen through her eyes. She's in battle, severely wounded, with a spear in her side. Their forces have been attacked by Phylax and commoner soldiers. She sees Tormund with an oddly dulled gaze, holding a ridiculously large mace he shouldn't be able to wield. Sigrid's wolf can't heal her while the lance is in her side, so she rips the lance from her body. Her wolf, Genikos, howls, straining to heal her. Jonah is with Tormund. Sigrid and Tormund engage in battle, and Sigrid sends Deimos power at Tormund, but the corruption in the pack sends the force back at her. She's too focused on Tormund, and Jonah manages to drive a sword through her, a mortal wound her wolf cannot heal. Her last thoughts are of Stark, regretting the distance she put between them and wondering if she's prepared him to become Sovereign Alpha, and who comes with that role. As everything fades to black, she notices Central Command is in flames. Meryn comes to and says, Nocturna has fallen. Who? Who comes with that role? I clocked that on my first read. How about you? What did you think here?
Oh, I definitely clocked it as well. I wasn't sure exactly who it was at first, though. I mean, I thought maybe Alistair, somehow, or whatever voice that Meryn has in her head. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it obviously is ominous,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I didn't think that it was anything positive.
Yeah.
So just thinking about, who do we know at this point that are the enemies? So yeah, I think I my like best assumption was Alistair, but I really didn't have like a firm idea at this point. What about you?
No, I thought the same thing. I thought Alistair or whatever voice Meryn was talking to. I like the way it's written though, because you could definitely interpret that as like who you become in that role if you're not
Mm.
looking for something like that. And I do,
But of course we are.
yeah, we are. Like, I would love to know if somebody read this and is shocked by everything, because I feel like they dropped enough clues in both books that nothing was like super, super shocking. But I don't know. Like, which I enjoyed because I like to solve a puzzle, unlike Meryn.
I mean, at least one of us is a strategos.
That's you. I'm a Deimos.
Well, that's probably true.
In the next chapter, we're in a Stark POV as he experiences this moment. So Stark goes to find Noemi and take her for a walk. He thinks on his regrets when Noemi was in the bonding trials, and he wished he would have protected her better. He was already Deimos Alpha at the time, and the Deimos instructor was one of his gammas. When Stark found out about what happened to Noemi, he beheaded him. I fucking love Protective Stark. Like, Big Brother Stark, I am here for.
Always.
Stark asks if Noemi's okay, and she reveals that being at the front distracted her from her memories, but seeing Lucien with the woman the night before just put her right back on Cyril's lap in front of everyone, smiling so that she didn't die. And here we get a different kind of Stark jaw clench. Noemi reveals that she wishes she was strong like Meryn and let her rage fuel her, but she just feels tired. While Stark comforts her, a searing pain shoots through his vision and he doubles over with pain through his mind, and he's surrounded by shadow. He describes this as feeling his powers deeper than ever before, and they tempt him to fill himself with it. It reminds him of being on the battlefield with Meryn, but this power feels like his own. He hears voices, one of which reveals Sigrid is dead. Coming to, Stark hears the wolves start howling and reveals the news to Noemi, who sits and comforts him. The voices Stark hears seem to be the voices of the packs now that he has access to all of them.
And I wonder how open the lines of communication are. Like, are all of the voices that he hears, are they all actively trying to talk to him? Or is he just kind of constantly open to a flood of thoughts and emotions from the packs?
I think it's when they're very, very strong emotions like this and they all are having like the same sort of reaction. That's the sense that I got. It's the same way
That
that
makes
like
sense.
he doesn't feel Meryn's emotions all of the time, but when she has very, very strong ones, he feels it then.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Stark thinks that at least he still has family. Noemi, Kratos, and more than anything, Meryn. And then he considers what would happen if she died. Foreshadowing! Huh? When I read this the first time, I made a note that I was concerned we were getting dead and then siphon Meryn, which was not entirely wrong. We got dead, resurrected Meryn, and then siphon Venna.
So yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah. So that brings us to the end of, our recap for this episode. Should we count down our tropes?
Yeah. Should I do a rapid fire again?
Yeah. Let's hear it.
All right. We got nickname, princess. We got jaw clench. I think we've got two different kinds of jaw clenches in this.
Oh, did we?
Two very different contexts, right? Because I think
know
we
the
get
one we
jaw
just
clenches
had.
of, well, yeah. So we had the one that we just had, which was like out of anger. We also, I think, got one out of like sexual tension earlier.
That's my favorite kind of jaw clench.
Of course.
Or when
We got,
it's at the same time, like there's sexual tension, but he's also really pissed at the person that this tension is focused on. That's good.
which
jaw
honestly,
clench.
I think like happens with Stark, right? Like
that was Stark
we
all
got
of Direbound.
Yes, all of Direbound, and also when he's like disgusted, kneeling in her filth.
True. Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, we got some jaw clench. We also got a fuck it, which we love. That was one where, when we saw it on the list for tropes ahead of this book's release, we just knew we were gonna enjoy that.
Kate, as people have been reading Furybound and they know we're covering it, so they're like messaging us. I've had multiple people when I ask where they're at in the book, they're like, "Oh, I just got to the bucket scene." Like everybody is waiting for that moment.
Yes. It was good. It was very good. I have no notes.
Mm-hmm.
We got a brat kink, which we enjoyed. We did. I put miscommunication in here, though it was resolved pretty quickly. So I definitely will not have to rail on that one the same way that I did in Direbound. Thank God. We have a secretly not dead parent, which I'm counting as a trope as well.
Oh, for sure.
We have some more of that dirty oral that we talked about before. Literally dirty, like they are in the dirt, and we still don't really get it. We get the microtrope ripped bodice, which I guess technically, I don't know if it was a bodice, whatever, but it counts. And then I also threw in a precocious child here because that's what Sayla is giving as she's kind of schooling all of these adults with like, hey, have you guys thought about this really obvious thing?
Yes.
So,
yes. And when you describe it like that, it makes me think of April from Gilmore Girls.
oh no.
I'm just saying.
We hate April.
Oh, do we all hate April? Everybody hates April?
Everybody hates April.
Well, it's only because she broke up Luke and Lorelai, even though she didn't know it. But that's also Sayla's
that's not the only reason, okay? It's also because she's really fucking annoying.
But also, Sayla's the biggest cockblock in town, so...
I know, that's true.
There's connections there.
Yeah.
And also, I'm just saying, oh God, yeah, you're right. That would be so annoying. If April was a siphon, she would definitely get beheaded.
Oh my God, don't. Just no part of me wanted that character to be as ubiquitous as she ended up being. Anyway, this is not about Gilmore Girls.
So we've got, what did we say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Is that 9?
Yeah.
9 tropes. So. 9 tropes. All right. So Kate, I know you and I both have a mile-long TBR. So I think we should give everyone a heads up on what we're planning to cover next so they can catch up as well.
Yes. So once we finish Furybound, we've got a few fun things planned before our next deep dive. We'll be interviewing Chris K. Haynes and then covering her new standalone novel, Hunted by the Fey Duke, which comes out on June 4th. So definitely put that on your TBR because we have arcs and let's just say there's a lot to unpack. We are loving it.
A lot to unpack. That was a dick joke.
Oh, got it. Yeah, good one.
Yeah, Kate's winking for those not
Oh,
watching.
yeah. Wink, wink, wink.
And then we're featuring T. Harlow on the pod. This is another indie author who has several books out. Most recently, she released This Damsel Is Not in Distress, which is available on ebook, physical book, and audiobook. I did the audiobook, which I absolutely loved. It's a fun, whimsical, cozy romantasy and a quick read. She also has a new standalone novel called This Witch Is Not Wicked, which comes out June 18th. And while these books are both standalones, they're part of the same sort of world and characters. So you can read them on your own. But if you read both of them, the characters should be familiar. So I'm excited to read that one when it comes out.
Oh, yeah, me too. And then we're also planning a special Pride episode, but more to come on that soon. We're very excited.
Yes, very excited for that. So we have a little cozy break before our next deep dive, which is The Silversmith by L.J. Claren, which will
Woo!
start on July 14th. So there's plenty of time to read it. It's not a super long read. I actually read it in one weekend the first time I read it, but there's plenty of time for you to clear your TBR and read it. The audiobook will be out soon, so you can also listen to that. So there's plenty of ways to enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that one. I loved that book. And LJ Claren has been doing a lot more promo for the next book in that series, The Incendiary, which,
Yes.
what is it, September?
Yes, that comes out September 8th.
Yeah, so I've been getting really excited to see that story continue.
Yeah, same. I can't wait to see what happens. All right, Kate, we've got a busy couple of months. Should we get out of here and get back to reading?
Yeah, we've got a lot to get through, so let's get to it.
All right. See you next week.
Bye.